So this is part 2 of the, I might change the title of this whole thing to an anonymous member of a 12-step program's rants about his daily reflections. So I was reading a book today, the AA Daily Reflections book, and for October 26, 2025, and I started checking on, am I doing this correctly in accordance with copyright laws and anonymity principles and attraction rather than promotion within the traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous? How many toes have I been stepping on in these previous videos dating from like earlier this year in September up until today? And my understanding is nil. I think I said in my description, in my still juvenile understanding of a lot of things, recovery from alcoholism that I've been doing for 20 years, that's another one. My understanding of how it's actually occurred and been that long that I've taken a drink of alcohol is, my understanding of that is kind of nil on it. I'm not sure if I can be clear on this. There's principles that I've learned and I look at and do my best to follow. And that is a huge portion of life, really. And I mentioned here in part 1 that I was in the military in the United States of America. And I also went to some schools in the United States of America and abroad in foreign countries other than in the United States of America. And there's like a teacher, leader, instructor, provost maybe. There's like somebody dispensing the information to the pupils, the students, trying to educate them or help them understand something that maybe they have no understanding or limited juvenile understand or not fully advanced understanding of any subject, and maybe this person feels they have credibility in one particular area and they decide to become a teacher or instructor or governance or some kind of leader. So teamwork is kind of what I'm trying to get at, I think, because I'm just a human being by myself everywhere. But then I'm on YouTube here and you see me, and I'm not a computer image, I am a human. Now, when I say things here or elsewhere and somebody compliments me, say, or criticizes me in a questioning manner, as an example, I've asked people, where did you get that from? That's a solid question. Well, that's pretty much how I would ask that question. And meaning, like, where'd you get that idea? Where'd you get that from? Who said that? Or whatever, something like this when I encounter somebody else. And likewise, they say that stuff to me. And this could be just anywhere in life. I don't pretty much, okay, back to teamwork. Say for example, I'm at the grocery store looking for a particular product, and I see somebody that's in the same aisle looking at the up and down and all over the whole thing, and I notice that this person's been up and down this aisle 3-4 times, and so have I. And finally I say something like, "Good morning. Hey, I wonder, could I help you? Are you looking for something in particular? Maybe I've seen it and I can help." That's kind of my nature about things. And then I ask them, it's like, "Have you seen the sugar-free marshmallows or something?" I don't know if that even exists. And so we start interacting in a human social way that way. And then, maybe that develops into something further, and ending on that conversation, the closing line might be something like, "Where did you get that information from? How did you hear that? I seem to really agree with what you mentioned about the sugar-free marshmallows. Where might I find more information about that topic?" And this is the teamwork thing, and why I bring it in the military. The thing that I learned in the military was teamwork under a leader. And now that we've got those two things, a leader, a trusted leader, and a team with an objective, how do we do that? Well, it's the leader's idea, choice, responsibility to provide the team to provide them with the training or the ideas necessary to accomplish the objective. And then with the team members are treated like one under the leader, and the leader that has another ultimate higher authority. That's my juvenile understanding of my time, alleged time, in the United States military, or in any kind of academic situation. There's a teacher, an instructor, a leader, something trying to dispense his or her or its knowledge upon the people that don't have the same level, hoping to enrich everybody's life. What is the point of all this? The anonymity thing in Alcoholics Anonymous, and should it happen to come up in my daily life out in the world, which you could consider this out in the world, I believe. You're flipping through the internet, or how you're scrolling through the internet. I don't know how you would say that, articulate that. And you come across me, my face, and then, like, I'm a human, so I'm social, and I have emotions, and certain things I say might make me emotional, and you can see my eyes get watery, and I might be tearing up, and things like that. And I think that's a powerful part of my story in recovering from my experience with alcoholism, and my experiences now, which is the focal point in what it's like being sober now, by following some principles. That's where I got into this. That I follow some principles in my life that are helpful everywhere in life, not just in coping with alcoholism. Say something like, I don't know if this is exactly a principle, but instant gratification can be problematic for humans. And I've heard or read somewhere, or my thought on things, is that as a human, I've noticed some disturbing qualities that I have that are in common with a lot of other humans. Is like laziness, or some form of complacency, where I just think it's going to be all right because I know a couple things over here, and then this should be all right, and I don't need to know all the details. And then I'd miss things, and then I just keep doing it the same, not complete way, maybe. I'm missing, skipping, glossing over things because I'm lazy and complacent, and then it worked last time like this, it should work again. and then one day it doesn't. And okay, complacency. Need to be on top of things and following principles and guidelines and rules and regulations to have a better chance at order instead of chaos. And if you were to throw thermodynamics in here, or some part of physics, and that concept or law of entropy, when you're talking order and chaos, there's a smaller likelihood of things a system arriving at order than the likelihood of it being chaotic or not in any particular order. Because there might be 10 ways, as an example, broad spectrum example, maybe there's only 10 ways that thing could be in order. But there's at least 11 and 111,000 more ways for it to be in a different order. And the more components in a system, the less likely it's going to be in order. If it is in order, it's going to degrade towards chaos. Pretty much everything in the physical universe that I'm aware of and understand, in my juvenile understanding, things fall apart a lot more than they come together. When things, by some way, are put together, and then it's like, to maintain that, there's principles people follow. They look after it, they protect it, and then they try not to deliberately push it out of order, maybe. Okay, so how might this relate to my journey through alcoholism and my subsequent recovery? Teamwork. There's teams of people, with the teams of humans like myself, that think they have some problems with lots of stuff. In one area, alcohol, I call myself something of an experienced individual with my struggles with addiction, and what a difficult time that is, to the loss of control, the loss of power of choice while dealing with an addiction. That monkey, my addiction, in my head or on my back or wherever it's residing, is relentless in its appetite, and has a very powerful, convincing argument for whatever part of me that makes choices wants to listen to. It's like, you're right, monkey, you're right, addiction, let's get drunk, that'll fix it. At least for now it will, and we'll worry about tomorrow. So I did, however, find a place, a 12-step recovery program that helps me with that greatly. And there's principles within that program, this 12-step program. And if you watch part 1 of this, you might start to understand more of my quandary or my flailing about here with legalities and anonymity, and is this right or not, and who am I offending, and is this proper, is this ethical? And I think it is, because I think it's a commentary, and fair use, and you can turn this off at any time. I'm not forcing you. I'm not trying to exchange money for any of this. So, I'm trying to kind of maybe change the format of this channel a little tiny bit. Maybe. At least that idea is rolling around in my head. Teamwork again. Okay, so you get a bunch of people together that have an idea to obtain an objective, and everybody's got a separate way of doing it. That group of people probably aren't going to get far. So they elect one person to tell them what to do. and trust that person will come up with the right idea in some way, somehow. And they've all agreed upon it, and then there's one that makes a decision. And then they move ahead towards the objective. And right away, there's this entropy thing. It's going to fall apart, or it's going to seem to kind of work for a bit. If it seems to kind of work, there might be a little bit of order, and it seems profitable to pursue this way of doing things. So they keep doing it until it falls apart. It starts fraying away at the edges, falling apart. Another discussion is like, we need to change course. This isn't probably going to work. We're all, okay. I don't know, man. Common sense kind of thing for me. Things fall apart. Keep it in order. Use some common sense in maintaining it in the condition it's in, if you want to keep it in that condition. Teamwork was an attribute taught in the military where I came from. And it wasn't my idea to do it this way. In particular, of course, there's always a one-off circumstance to everything, some exception. But generally speaking, we would have a leader, a team leader in some sense. The team of the work together, the teamwork would accomplish the objective as being directed by the one that we all agreed to follow in the interest of lots of things, safety being one of them, primarily. Nobody wants to get hurt in that team. And we all agree there's an objective down the road, and we all couldn't figure out how to do it individually, so we elected you as our leader, and you came up with this grand plan that we all agreed upon. We're going to start to follow it, and we start to follow it, and it works, and so we stick with it. And then, wow, we accomplished that objective for the day. Perhaps we could try that again tomorrow, or in a like circumstance, with that objective being, things being relatively the same. So, today's reading from a book, the Daily Reflections book. The title of it was called something about one authority. Within a 12-step recovery group, for today's date, October 26th. One ultimate authority. For our group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Period. That's from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. It looks like this, found on page 132. When I am chosen to carry some small responsibility for my fellows, I believe this is within the recovery journey from alcoholism. I ask that God grant me the patience, open-mindedness, and willingness to listen to those I would lead, like I was just saying. We couldn't get it together on our own, so we decided to pick you as the leader, instructor, governor, etc., whatever, the guy telling us what to do, so we don't screw it up and make a mess of things. And then we attempt, and we make it, and it's working. Or it falls apart, because entropy is powerful. Everything falls apart. If it's a crappy plan, it's going to fall apart right away. And then you can get back together and reformulate, and come up with a better strategy, etc. I ask that God grant me the patience, right there, open-mindedness, and again, and willingness, again, to listen to those I would lead. I must remind myself that I am the trusted servant of others, not their governor, teacher, or instructor. So I'm having a difficult time with that. God guides my words and except for this might be the answer. God guides my words and my actions, and my responsibility is to heed his suggestions. Trust is my watchword. I trust others who lead. So I follow my leader, you follow your leader. In particular circumstances, the end. Trust is my watchword. I trust others who lead. In the fellowship of AA, I entrust God with the ultimate authority of running the show. I think the first tradition of Alcoholics Anonymous. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. For our group purpose, this is tradition 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. Period. The end of the second tradition of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've exhausted myself today trying to untangle my even less than juvenile understanding of copyright laws, anonymity, and how not to stick my foot in my mouth. So, I hope my experience, limited as it is, and strength also very limited, but not my hope. My hope for you is that you can make a successful recovery from alcoholism. What that means is not drinking today. Hopefully you might be a more cheerful person also, and that would flower and flourish in other areas of your life. Anyhow, thank you for coming by here today for whatever I end up calling this.